Well, one of the hot-button election stories this time around suggests that Ohio voters who are Democrats will not be able to vote as easily as their Republican counterparts. So we checked into that for you today. And as Megan O'Rourke discovered, the allegation may not be true in the Dayton region, at least, in our Decision 2012 report.
Mark, I checked the hours of early voting in Montgomery, Greene, Clark, and Miami counties. I also talked to a UD activist. He tells me Democratic voters are being targeted, though our region doesn't show it. The issue, early voting hours. As it stands now, it's up to individual counties to set days and times. Some think election boards are creating an unlevel playing field. So on Monday, the American Civil Liberties Union asked Secretary of State John Husted to set uniform hours.
He can respond in one of two ways to this lack of consistency or this lack of uniformity. One way to respond is to require all counties to extend opportunities for early voting. Another way to respond is to say that no county can extend opportunities for early voting. And what he's doing is he's responding in the latter way as opposed to the former way.
Richard Sapphire is a UD law professor. He also sits on the board of directors for the ACLU of Ohio. He told me Husted has a history of voting against extending hours. Just last month, Husted, a Republican, broke the tie on the bipartisan election board in Cuyahoga County. That resulted in the elimination of early voting there on the last 2 weekends of October. Cuyahoga leans heavily Democratic.
I don't think it's too crude to say they're stacking the deck. They're trying to make it as difficult as possible for Republican, likely Democrat voters to both register and vote. And conversely, they're trying to make it as easy as possible for Republican voters to register and to vote. And this is simply another example of it.
I checked with the Board of Elections in Montgomery, Miami, Clark, and Greene counties today. I found that Montgomery, which leans heavily Democratic, also has the most liberal early voting hours, staying open late and on weekends. Miami and Clark only allow early voting during the week. Members of the Greene County Board of Elections had not set early voting hours as of Tuesday afternoon. Sapphire says that's not right.
Number one, there ought to be uniformity from county to county. I mean, it's just unfair for people's opportunities to vote to depend upon the county in which they live in. Everybody ought to live by the same rules.
And just a few minutes ago, I caught up with the Secretary of State about the concerns, and this is what he had to say.
I have been a big advocate for uniformity, making sure that we have the same rules in all 88 counties. And so I'm more than happy to do that if that's what the critics of the system would like to have.
Now, Husted tells me he is waiting for a response from the Attorney General to make sure he has the authority to set uniform hours across the state. But if that is the case, Husted tells me he will likely make them the standard hours of operation with a few exceptions here and there, which would have the biggest impact in our area in Montgomery County. Regardless of the schedule, Husted reminds everyone that this year, for the first time ever, every voter will receive an absentee ballot sent to their home. Reporting live, Megan O'Rourke, 2 News.